Hey, it's Mike with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Thursday, it's June 14th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And this is going to wrap it up for the week. No chart lessons on Fridays. I can't believe a whole week's already gone by. But regardless, uh, this is the end of the week already. It just seems like I just got back, and seemed like Monday was yesterday. But that's what happens when you're busy, I guess. But another basically sideways day. We had a nice little move up and another move down, and for the most part, this is just a range day. You can see it started out as a really strong trend right up through here, and then we went kind of sideways and had another move up. It looked like we would get another flatter channel here, but it really never played out. Um, it's valid, but it still really never played out. This looks like the trend line, and you can see when we pushed through it, we came back and tested it before we went lower. But I think it was just too much of a sideways day to really play on out. And notice that we're right here at the 2800. We're only a few ticks away or points away from 2800. And that's these century levels, I like to call them the 100-point levels. They're difficult areas, they're emotional areas, and prices will usually test both sides of them, of those areas, multiple times before they move on, unless something different is going on. So we may stay right here on that side of that and test it and sell off a few times before we actually push through it and consistently stay above it. Um, so anyway, let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap this day up in this week. Like I said, when I came in, we were trending up. There was a little bit of a lower high here, but being that far away from the EMA and that close to the high of the day in the overnight session, I don't recommend it. And then we did get a break and a pull back to the EMA here, and this actually went lower and turned and went back out the other side. So you might enter there. I'd really like to see a second entry, having been that far away from the EMA for you know several hours like that. But that was a fairly strong trend, and a lot of times you don't get a second entry on strong trends. So uh, the way that this one's set up, you may take it, but I think it's a little bit aggressive. I think you're better off to skip it. And of course, we pushed up and made a new high. We went a bit sideways there, and then we had another test of it and turned down. And look how far away we are still from the EMA. So that's a lower high, double top, and it's a big bearish bar. So I like going short there just to ride it back to the EMA, and maybe you catch a reversal and you can ride it on out. But instead, we just kind of go sideways here. We get stuck in, it looks like a range. You got some resistance here, you got support here. And of course, you run up here and make a little failed break higher and get another bearish, real bearish bar. And notice that new swing low there. So that's a second entry short. I like that one. And again, you might catch a major high, but in the end, it's good for a few points, but it's not, you don't end up catching the high of the day or anything with that particular setup. So then notice what happens. It's obvious this is a range now, and there's a little failed out the bottom side. And like always, this has been an uptrend, so we're really more looking, we're hoping that we may get this trend, this channel may be right. And I drew this line off the eyes, and originally I was looking for something in here, and I really, once we kept going lower, I went ahead and moved this down to the closes down here, and it does look like it's valid to me. And you can see we bounced off that midline twice right here. And then you can see we bounced off that trend line a couple of times before we pushed on through, and then we came back and tested it. So I do believe it's correct. I just think that prices had moved too high already, and they just weren't ready to go any higher from here. So we just kind of went sideways. But anyway, we just got stuck in this range. When it drops down here, it actually got into the lower half here. It's like a two-tiered range here, and so you got into the lower half, and you really just don't have any good setups here, and so you're better off just to stay out until you get something at the very low or the very high, and then of course we drop out here and you get that failed break lower. And there's actually one leg, and this is a little correction, and then a second leg. So that's a two-legged correction. On a bigger chart, it'd be a little clearer. So I like going long there just to ride it back to the EMA, to test the breakout. But maybe you'll catch one of those major lows or major highs like I was talking about out of the upper side, and it does turn out to be a really important low, and look how it rockets off. And when it's going this strong, when you're not even getting any overlap, and it closes and then closes on its high and opens on its low, then doesn't back up, just stay with that till you get some kind of bar that at least breaks lower than a previous bar or something of that nature. So you could have ridden this for a little bit. Once we got to the upper side of what looked like the channel, I'd probably exit. And had you exited there, you would have exited basically at the high, within a tick or two anyway, depending on, if you just exit a tick or so in front of before it touched the upper trend line, you couldn't do much better than that. So we actually get a break here. We tried to go higher once, tried to go higher again. We didn't quite get a new high. This bar is too bullish. You might have considered using this for a signal bar, but it's right into the EMA, and there's a doji in there, so I think you're better off to skip that. And you never know if it's going to bounce off that EMA either and go higher. So I just don't see an entry up here that I would really want to risk at this point. And so you do get a big sell-off here, and you start thinking, hey, maybe I'll get a setup here. One never really, you don't really get a good setup on my chart. And then of course you get this big bearish bar lower high right off the EMA, but I'm still worried about this channel line here that we may push back up into it. We try here, and then so now we've got a failed second entry long. Notice that new swing high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry, and it's a pullback retest of the breakout of the trend line. Turns down right off of the EMA. It's a relatively bearish bar. It doesn't close on its very low, but all the same, it's a failed second entry long. So I like that one, and I like where it sets up. And then we make a little breakout, kind of a breakout pullback short. I don't have my line on here, but you can see that support right across there. And we push through, pull back, and it turned another relatively bearish bar, relatively small one too, right off the key entry point, and off it goes. And I would be looking for another leg down at this point. Here's your first leg, and there's your second one, and you probably should really measure it from there. I don't think that changes it, but maybe a tick or so. And you can see that gets you down into about where we closed at. So we actually went a little further. So that was a good. So there's two legs down there, and then of course we get a little reversal pattern here. It's not, actually I'll take that back. It's not really a reversal pattern, but it's a failed second entry short after a big move down. Look how long we've been away from the EMA. I prefer to see that push through the EMA and pull back, but it didn't. And so I'm not crazy about that one. It does confirm the trend line. It is a failed second entry short. It's a nice bullish bar on top of that. You do have a little resistance right there. I think you're better off to wait and see if it does that again. And of course it does pull back here and gives another bounce off the trend line. So I like entering there. It gives you a little better feel that, hey, we're probably going to try to push higher here, because we turned down right off the EMA and didn't go far, and we're pushing up again. So I'd prefer to see it push through that EMA, but this was a good indication that we may go on higher, because we tried to go lower once, twice, 3, 4 different times, and it is bouncing right off that trend line that's working up there. You can see that. So, and if you enter there, that turns out to be, if you entered on either one of those, turns out to be a pretty nice move. And then we come up here, and we find some resistance where we already kind of had a double top here, and you really get a double test 1, 2 of that, but those are a little bit far apart, so I'd want to see something a little closer together that maybe is considered a retest there. And you finally get it here, but that's really the first close outside, and it's not very, it's a neutral bar. That one's kind of neutral. That one's kind of bullish. That one's kind of neutral, and then that one's got a stem. So you really got a little congestion there. But there's some resistance there, so that's not unexpected. But I just want a better bar and be a little bit further away from the EMA before I would take that one. I just don't think it's worth marking. And then we shoot back up, and when we do, I'd be looking for a possible measured move here. There's your first leg. We started back up here. We don't end up getting that, but that would lead you to believe we may have another leg down. Another fairly decent leg down, because we didn't reach we missed that target by a couple of points there. So, but that would have been my first likely target until we didn't make it. And then notice this right here. By this time you can tell that it looks like we've got a lot of resistance. So this is a little failed break higher, way away from the EMA. So I like that one, but it's also a repeat pattern of this right here. I mean, it's almost a perfect repeat pattern. Notice we're moving up, you make a little double top, you move down, and then you shoot up and make that failed break higher. And there's your move up, your break, and your little sell off right there. This is this part right here, and then you shoot up and make a breakout. So you sell off here, you shoot up, you make that breakout. And I know at least one other trader saw that, because they sent me an email asking me about it. So that was a good eye. It's a perfect measured move. And guess what? You catch one of those major highs. It's not one that leads to another leg down like this one, but that's still a pretty nice move down in the afternoon. And so if you catch that one, maybe you get to ride this down. It actually makes a lower high here, so if you didn't enter here, definitely enter here, because it's back inside. No sides holding, nice big bearish bar, and then you push through the EMA, pull back, and you get your failed second entry long and reversal pattern with another big bearish bar. And so you got several opportunities there late in the afternoon to ride this, to catch a little move down. You may, depending on how you played them, you may or may not have got a runner. This was your best opportunity for a runner. And that really took you into the 2 o'clock hour. There's another, notice how there's a little double test right across here at this level. And there's been, it looks like a thin spot. It's probably really close to the midpoint of the lows here and the highs here. So I'm sure that's what that is across there. I don't have the line on. You can't, the black clothesline, but you can see it when I put that blue on there. So you get a little double test of that, but it's so late in the day, and that's such a neutral bar, and then that bar is really negative, but it's right back into the lows, so you don't want to enter there. So especially that late in the day, it would have worked, but you don't know that ahead of time. And it's, if you look at this right here, you sure don't want to go short right into all that support, because a lot of times it'll do like it did here. It'll bounce and stop you out. So it worked this time, but the right move is just to skip it. And if this hadn't have been after 2 o'clock, you might try to ride that one back, because you got your break here, at least a couple legs down, and it actually went lower, turns, goes out the other side. That would have been a great place to go long. And you might, being that close to 2 o'clock, you might have taken that one anyway on market. And it's a test of this support area right across here again. You can see that support coming right across there. We bounced there once, twice. So that's a double test as well. So another reason to like that one. But anyway, not a lot of trades today. Not a great day, but not a bad day either. There were some decent trades here. A couple of them that would have got you some, some extra movement on it most likely. So hopefully you took advantage of it. But I hope you had a good week. And I'm going to wrap it up for today and wrap it up for the week. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm sorry, not tomorrow, but Monday. But I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.